What does it mean to trust your intuition? And why is this so important when you're trying to conceive? In today's episode, I will be showing you what a difference this can make to your fertility journey. And I will take you through the 4 easiest ways to connect to your own intuition and inner guidance. All of that and so much more is coming up on today's episode. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I have put this episode together because it is something that I only learned later on in my fertility journey. And it wasn't something that I thought about very much. This idea of listening to my intuition, that inner knowing, that inner guidance, that kind of gut feeling wasn't something that occurred to me was a big deal. And I think when you're on this path, and especially when you go down the medical route, you trust your doctors, you trust the clinics. And, I trusted my naturopath. I liked being told what to do. And there's nothing wrong with all of those things. And of course, for so many of us, we need the medical system on this journey. We need guidance. But your own intuition knows you, your body, and what you need better than anyone. And it can help you in so many ways. So just a few examples are that it will help you to make decisions, work through difficult situations. And the most important thing I found was that it allows you to pause and respond rather than react to a particular situation. So I hope that this episode will help you. And if you find that you're struggling to connect to your intuition and you can't really tell the difference between your feelings, your emotions, and what may or may not be true, I think that you'll get a lot out of this one today. Let's start by talking about what is intuition. I like to think of it as this knowing or this gentle nudge that something is off or that something is awesome or something needs your attention. It's typically subtle, which is why we often miss it or we discount it when these things come up, especially when we are faced with a medical situation where we obviously will be looking to our doctor who has so much experience. And we tend to discount those little nudges that we might be feeling about certain decisions. It's also a very real psychological process. So the brain is actually using these past experiences and cues from whatever's happened to you previously and within your environment at that time to make a decision. And these decisions happen so quickly. It doesn't even register on a conscious level a lot of the time. We often refer to this as our sixth sense, especially as women. I find that is something that we are quite in tune with. It is also just your nervous system's way of keeping you safe in the world. Intuition is the way that the subconscious mind communicates with the conscious mind. So the information in our brains that give us that feeling of inner knowing is real, but the way that information comes together often happens sort of outside that conscious awareness, which is why it can be really hard to trust or to listen to. And I think that we all have intuition. We all have the capacity to tap into this inner knowing to help us reach our goals and our potential and whatever it is that we're wanting to get through in life. And it really is up to us whether we choose to listen to it and whether we choose to learn how to listen to it. And I think it's like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. So today I want to offer you 4 ways in which you can start tapping into your intuition. And you can use this to help you on not just your fertility journey, but in every part of your life where you feel you need that support. So how can we start to connect to our intuition? The first thing that I find is incredibly helpful is meditation. It is so incredibly helpful because we cannot listen to our intuition properly if we are coming from a dysregulated state. So what I mean by that is if we are rushing about our day, we're stressing about the phone call that's coming or going to the next doctor's appointment or taking that pregnancy test at the end of the week, if we are living in this state of fight or flight, we don't feel that sense of calm, we're not feeling like we have any control, we can't listen to our intuition from this place. Meditation is one of the things that can help us get there. I used to think that meditation was all about focusing on your breathing and getting rid of thoughts. And sure, we can use meditation as a way to breathe deeply, but it isn't so much about getting rid of thoughts. It is allowing thoughts to come and go naturally, not about turning them off, but learning to observe them without judgment. It's one of those things that takes so much practice. Meditation doesn't have to be sitting down in silence, completely still. Meditation can be movement. It can be a walk in nature. It can be a gentle dance or a way that you move your body whilst focusing on your breath. I find that sitting down in meditation works great some days, but on other days it really doesn't. So I think that meditation is all about finding what works for you. If you can get to a point where sitting in the silence and just allowing your breath to guide you and to your mind, and to let your mind just come into this place of freedom where you have this beautiful time where you don't have to think about anything, you don't have to worry about anything. If you can get to that place, it becomes incredibly beneficial. But it does take a lot of practice to get there. So if moving or going for a meditative walk really helps you initially, then that is a wonderful way to begin. Meditation helps train your awareness and builds a healthy sense of perspective. So learning to meditate, like I said, is like any other skill. It will take time and patience to get comfortable with it and to see results. It's one of those things where the journey is more important than the destination. I know that's a really annoying thing to say, and we hear this about so many things, but the journey of learning a meditative practice is so beautiful. And the things that you discover along the way will blow your mind. And when you find that you are sitting and your focus wants to wander to one thought or another, and that's, all you can think about, that's okay. It's just a way to allow you to sit with what's there, to allow those feelings and emotions to come up, and without pushing them away. And there has been so much research done on meditation over the past few decades. It's one of those kind of complementary or kind of not woo-woo, because obviously we know now it is heavily backed by science. It's one of those practices that is heavily researched within the Western medical world and comes with it some amazing results. So if you don't have a regular meditation practice, that is absolutely the first step. Number 2 is all about listening to your body. I get asked by my students so often, what is the difference between my intuition and my emotions, especially fear, that come up? And the answer lies within your physical body. Know that your initial reaction to a situation or to a comment or to a decision that comes up is usually right. But we question ourselves, especially when there are medical professionals or others who have walked this path before us, telling us what we should do. But how many times have you had a gut feeling about something or someone and you went the other way because you were listening to those around you, but you were right the first time? I think we can all relate to those instances where that's happened. So there's an exercise that I love to give my students that helps you to start listening to your body to help you guide your intuition. And I'm going to take you through that exercise now. This is a really simple one and a really great one that you can practice and do whenever you need to. So like we said before, we can't come into this place from a dysregulated state. So do what you need to do to get yourself into a place of calm, whether that is taking a few deep breaths, placing the hands onto the lower belly, closing the eyes, just reminding your body that you are safe. And then when you're ready, I want you to think of something that you know is bad for you, without a doubt. Something like smoking or not getting any sleep for a whole week. And whatever this thing might be, I want you to phrase it as a statement and say it in the sense, smoking is good for me, or not getting any sleep over a whole week is good for me. Something that you know 1,000% is not true. Just find whatever resonates for you. Breathe nice and gently and deeply, and just repeat that statement to yourself. So not as a question, as a statement. Repeat it a few times over. And I want you to start to notice the physical reaction or any physical sensations that come up within your body when you say this statement to yourself. So for example, if I say to myself, smoking is good for me, I immediately get this tightness in my throat, a bit of heaviness in my chest. There is a physical reaction to that statement where my body knows it isn't right. So you may need to practice this a few times. Okay, the next part is to think of something that you know is good for you, something that you know is 100% true, like getting outside for a walk every day is good for me. Drinking 8 glasses of water each day is good for me. Going to bed early helps me feel rested the next day. Whatever it is. Again, you're going to phrase it as a statement, not as a question. For example, getting 8 hours of sleep every night is good for me. And I want you to repeat that statement to yourself a few times. Again, breathing nice and deeply, gentle breaths. And now start to notice what comes up within your body when you say this. Any physical sensations, any response that you're noticing from your body. So I notice when I say to myself, getting 8 hours of sleep a night is good for me, I feel this lightness in my chest. I feel like there's more space when I breathe. So we're not looking for emotions. We're not looking for mental reactions here. Really, I want you to go into your body. So again, you might need to practice this a few times and try it out with these little statements that, there's no skin in the game. And then if you are trying to make a decision or your gut is telling you one thing, but, perhaps other people are telling you another, try this exercise out. Repeat whatever it might be. For example, I'm being told I need to do another round of IVF next month. This is the right course of action for me. And if you don't feel that next month is the right time to start another round of IVF, maybe you feel like you need more time, maybe you don't, but I want you to play around with seeing how your body reacts, because your body is never wrong. Okay, so number 3 is to test out your intuition with little games or tests. And this is a fun way to start listening to your intuition. It's one of those things where it can start to be just part of a daily practice. You can find these little things where there's no meaning. It doesn't matter if you're right or you're wrong. But it's a good way to start bringing you in tune with yourself and to build trust with that intuition, which is such a big, big part. It's another way to let your nervous system rely on that sense of safety as well, which is really what we're after. So a few ways in which you could do this. You can be standing waiting for an elevator, and there's perhaps 3 or 4 elevators that are in front of you, and I want you to look at each of them and think which one is going to be the one that arrives first to your level and opens its doors. If you are sitting at a cafe looking out the window, ask yourself, what color will the next car that drives by be? Little things like that is a really good way just to play these little games with yourself and to make it kind of a fun way to start leaning into your intuition and your inner knowing. And it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It's just a way to, again, build that sense of trust. And then the last one is to watch for these little signs, these little messages of serendipity. I believe that your intuition and the guidance that you receive from the universe, or whatever you want to call it, your higher self, a higher power, are beautifully interconnected. Once you start to cut out the noise, listen to your body, start tuning into what it is that you really need for yourself, you start to notice signs. You see the same things come up over and over again. Number patterns, animals. You might find that you think about a person you haven't spoken to for a long time, and then lo and behold, later that day they send you a message out of the blue. Little signs that are seemingly from the universe are a really good indicator that you're on the right track. And I think that if you are unsure about a situation, or you're wanting to know if you're on the right path, you're wanting to know if you're making the right decisions, if your baby is close, then ask for a sign if you want. Give it a time frame and see what happens. Choose something that you're not likely to see every single day, so that when you do see it, you'll know instantly that it is a sign that you're on the right path. So I think that the best way you can do this is to, again, maybe bring yourself into a meditative state, and then ask yourself, universe, a higher power, whatever it is that you believe in and what resonates with you, ask for a sign that you're on the right path. And for me, this was blue butterflies, which wasn't something that I saw very often when I was on my fertility journey. I was living in the Middle East, and of course, it's mostly desert, not a lot of butterflies around. But this was something that kept showing up for me. And I think that when you can really notice these little signs, it gives you that reassurance that you are on the right path. I just want to finish this episode with a little story about trusting your intuition and then really knowing that you're on the right path, but then finding out later that you were wrong. For example, I had a month where I had so many signs from the universe that I was going to fall pregnant that month. It was one of those months where everything was so well synchronized and perfect. I was so in tune with everything that was going on. You know, I had this perfect cycle. I had just no menstrual symptoms. Everything just felt easy. I had a really nice month where my husband and I were super connected. Like, timing intercourse didn't feel forced. It was this beautiful month. I saw so many blue butterflies, and I was convinced that was the month I was going to fall pregnant, and I didn't. And I thought, how could I be wrong? How? I knew that this was happening. And what I realized later on is that I wasn't wrong. I did know. I was 1,000% right, but I got the timing wrong. And this is where we get caught up so often, because the timing, especially when we live in this 3D world, is everything. And especially when you're going through a medicated cycle or an IVF cycle. If it doesn't happen that cycle, it's like, well, what was the point? And this is one of the hardest things to get your head around. But when you can lean into that sense of knowing and of trusting, but letting go of the when, that's when things start to change. Because after that month where everything had been perfect on paper, the following month I had the opposite. I had a terrible cycle. I think I ovulated on day 9. I had a terrible month of my husband and I just couldn't get in sync. It was not romantic in any way whatsoever. I think we'd both had trouble at work. We were stressed. It was just one thing after the next. That's the month I fell pregnant. So I wasn't wrong. All of those signs that I was receiving and all of that inner knowing that I had, I just was off by a month. So I hope that this episode has given you a little bit of reassurance that you are on the right path, and that listening to your inner guidance and your inner knowing can really help you on this journey. If you have any questions about this kind of work or about going a little deeper into your intuition, let me know. I always love to hear your feedback about the episodes and whether they've helped you or whether you think we could go even deeper into some of these different topics. Please reach out to me. And if you have a minute, I would love for you to leave a review for the show. One of my most favorite things is just reading all your comments and getting feedback about all of the episodes. So if you have 30 seconds, just scroll down to the bottom of the episode, click on a rating, and then write a little review. That would mean so much to me. Now, on the next episode of the podcast, we are talking about the deep mindset work and physically rewiring your brain to prepare for pregnancy. This is a juicy one. We get a bit woo, very spiritual on this one. And if you feel like your journey has been constantly met with doubts and disappointment and the why me, then this is an episode that you must listen to. So I'm excited to have you back for that episode next week. Until then, I am sending you all my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students who are on their fertility journey is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life. Your days end up being filled with endless appointments, navigating pregnancy announcements. You're trying to eat right, take all your supplements, and it is all you think about from the moment you wake up. I designed the Element Fertility Yoga course to support your body, your mind, and your mental health in 3 important ways: to synchronize your hormones, increase circulation and blood flow, and to help regulate your nervous system. But on top of this, the greatest gift that you can give yourself throughout this journey is a sense of peace, to help you calm your mind and just make this process feel easier. Every single one of my students tell me that this is the first thing they notice after starting a yoga, meditation, and breathwork practice. But on top of this, you have the amazing benefit of actually supporting and increasing your fertility. Studies have shown that those participating in mind-body programs as they're trying to conceive have success rates 3 times greater than those who don't. The course I've designed walks you through natural conception as well as fertility treatments and IVF cycles. And the best part is you can work through it at your own pace in the comfort of your home. The practices start from just 10 minutes per day. To learn more, visit elementpilatesyoga.com or see the link in the show notes.